Dear members, and especially our visitors and guests, please note the following important announcement. By attending the remote Zoom meeting event, which is also live streamed on YouTube, you agree to the public policy of Toastmasters International as well as the unassociated remote hosting service. Some of your personal information, such as name, image, and any shared messages, will be recorded. Your remote attendance hereby discharges Toastmasters International and Leadership Speak and or any of its members from all claims, demands, rights, promises, damages, and liabilities arising out of or on in connection with the use or distribution of said video recordings, including but not limited to any claims for invasion of privacy, appropriation of likeness, or defamation. Zoom Master, please start the recording. Thank you. Welcome to Leadership Speak, an advanced Toastmasters club for leadership development. We are one of the top 5 clubs globally. I am Ashwati Rajan, a scientist by profession and a trainer by passion. I am your sergeant at arms of the meeting. The club mission. We are providing a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. The leadership statement of Leadership Speak. It is the premier club for experienced Toastmasters to become better self-directed leaders. We are an advanced club focused primarily on leadership development in everything we do. Our timer has a virtual hand raised so we all can immediately see who is keeping the time. Today, our TMOD will be leading us throughout this meeting, and it's time to introduce the Toastmaster of the day. Gilda, who lived in more than 10 countries since she was a child, which makes her connection to people stronger than her connection to any land. She likes to identify her place of birth as Earth. She is a seasoned Toastmaster for more than 10 years, a member and an officer in 4 clubs. She believes a small gesture of kindness is the best gift we can give each other on Valentine's Day. So let's welcome the Toastmaster of the day, Gilda. Gilda, over to you. Gilda, you are on mute.
Thank you, Sergeant at Arms Toastmaster Aswati, for the introduction. And hello, everyone. Greetings from Houston, USA, where it's 7:30 a.m. in the morning. And what a beautiful day it is today with our meeting as it falls on Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day is a day of spreading a small act of love, kindness, empathy, appreciation, or any other intentional gesture that can turn someone's day around. And today is the day. Therefore, for this occasion, I would like to share my back screen with all of you to connect with everyone who is joining this meeting from across the world. And as a token of appreciation for attending today's meeting, my way of hearty welcome to all members, and especially our most valuable audience, our guest. Wishing you all happy Valentine's Day. Our most important audience, our guest, I invite you all to fill in the guest book with your contact information. Our PR master will be posting the guest book in the chat box. Put your contact information and one of us will make sure to contact you. Also, we appreciate your comments and feedback. Now, I like to ask everybody to relax on your chair because we're about to start with our meetings under the theme of the ripple effects of leadership. Ripple effect of leadership is all about how leaders' action impacts their team or organization. Parents are leaders in their small organization, which is home. Other business owners, CEOs of big companies, these people who are responsible for making the big decisions and busy all the time thinking on how they're going to accomplish their mission. They can pause, stop, and use a small gesture of giving positivity boost their team morale, which will improve their productivity. Leaders can give transparency to build trust, leading to better collaboration through small gestures. Leaders can be empathetic to support their employees' well-being, reducing turnover. These small gestures that every leader can give can create massive ripples. A smile, a kind word, an ear to listen to others for boosting energy and productivity. These gestures that comes from any leaders can build trust and loyalty. Many believes leadership impacts comes only from big decisions, but it comes from the smallest act that this create the strongest ripples. These ripples are about emotional impact. I ask all leaders today to leverage Valentine's Day to create the culture of appreciation, a simple act like a thank you note, a phone call to somebody you haven't called for a long time. Send a message to somebody saying, I care about you, I love you. Today, here, we could actually send emojis to each other just to show care, appreciation, and love. This kind of leadership brings energy, brings positive momentum for every other follower. So let's take advantage of today and make it a start to spread kindness, love, empathy, and connection among all of us. Our meeting today is full of, and my Zoom is gone. Our meeting today is full of a lot of small, tiny gestures and messages of love, care, and support for everyone. We're going to start with our toast. And our toast is Rashmi Udeshi. She's a club president of Dar Toastmaster Club and district finance manager. She creates a graceful ripple effect of leadership, inspiring members to grow, discover their spark, and honor the club legacy of excellence. Our toast is Toastmaster Rashmi. I ask the Zoom master to spot Rashmi. The stage is all yours.
Fellow Toastmasters and distinguished guests, greetings. It's my honor today to be here, stand in front of you, and be the toast for today's theme, the ripple effects of leadership. Imagine a still pond. Drop a pebble, and you will see the ripple begins. As a president of the Toastmaster Club, I have witnessed this ripple in my leadership. As my executive committee, I'm there to encourage them. When I encourage them, I see that they build confidence, and this confidence in turn creates ripple. And when we align our thoughts, we have clarity, we learn, we walk the talk. And when we do that together as a team, we build momentum and spread the ripple across the club. This has enabled us to gain the Smedley's distinguished status by December. Yes, the Smedley distinguished status. And I am proud and happy to say, being a dual member of the Toastmasters Club and Leadership Speaks Club, as I move forward to take this theme in our club at Leadership Speak. The ripple that is created within the club, within the community, takes us a long way. And how is this ripple created? We have leaders that listen, leaders that build confidence, leaders that work with trust and create integrity, leaders build respect, leaders build confidence, leaders who strive towards excellence build a community, and this creates a ripple effect far and beyond. So let's all work together, lead with intention, walk the talk, create this ripple together. Ladies and gentlemen, please unmute your microphones, turn on your cameras, and raise your glasses.
Yeah.
To the leadership that creates ripples.
Here's to
To
the
the
leadership
leadership
that
Leadership
creates
that
that creates
ripples.
creates
ripples.
ripples.
Cheers.
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 Thank you for participating. And over to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Rashmi, for the toast today. For every meeting we have pillars, two pillars, the timers and the grammarians. And these will help the Toastmaster of the day, the speakers, and every role player to be aware of time and to watch what they're speaking. Our first role player is our timer. Our timer is Rana Ursula. Rana Ursula will tell us his role as a timer. The stage is yours.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day, fellow Toastmasters, and guest. I will serve as a timer for today's meeting, and my role is to time every speaker. I'm going to turn different colors as my background. When you see this green, meaning you already reached the minimum required time for your speech. Then when yellow turns on, time in between. Then when the red, when you see this, you already reached the maximum required time for your speech and you need to wrap up for 30 seconds. Otherwise, you'll be over time. Then keep I will be kept my hand raise icon so you can easily find where is the time. And then after the prepared speeches and our evaluations, I will be called upon to share the timing results. And that's all for now, and back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Renan, for explaining your role. Our next pillar is the grammarian. Our grammarian is Hannah Schmidt. She felt, as soon as I asked her about how she feels about the theme, she said, I immediately felt a strong sense of safety when I join Leadership Speak. Their ripple effect of leadership is well known as widely recognized. And as a grammarian, she loves learning new words. The stage is all yours, Toastmaster Hannah, to introduce your role.
Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster of the Day, fellow Toastmasters and guests. As grammarian, it is my responsibility to pay close attention to all speakers, listening carefully to their language usage. I take note of misuses of the English language, as well as any outstanding words, quotes, sayings, or thoughts. And as grammarian, it is also my duty to introduce the word of the day, and that is momentum. It is a noun. And the meaning of the word is it acts as a driving force behind the ripple. Valentine's Day serves as a reminder that a single thoughtful gesture can generate momentum in a relationship. Happy Valentine's Day. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Hannah, for explaining your role. Before I call in the educational speaker, I would like to invite our guest again to fill in the guest book that our PR master will be posting in the chat box. We would love to connect with you. Also, I would like to ask you to put your feedback, your comments, and any concern you might have in this meeting. Our next segment is the educational module. Our educational speaker is dedicated member of Toastmaster for the last 2 years, consistently growing, serving and leading with heart. One speech and one ripple at a time. Outside Toastmasters, she is also a member of the Philippine Judiciary. About today's theme, she says she believes that the smallest act of kindness create the biggest ripples because leadership is felt, not in power, but in how we make people feel. Members, guests, let's sit back and listen to our educational speaker, Nelly Jane Galido, taking the screen. The stage is all yours, Nelly.
Fellow Toastmasters, to our honorable guest, Happy Valentine's Day. Today isn't just about chocolates or flowers. It's about love in all its forms. Love that sees, love that listens, love that encourages, and love that inspires others to be their best selves. Because love, even the smallest acts, creates ripples. And those ripples, they don't stay still. They gather energy. And they build momentum. And that momentum can change everything. And so today, since it's Valentine's Day, we will celebrate how love can move hearts, teams, communities, just like leadership does. Look, the ripples, do you see them? They start at a single point. It's almost invisible. So small at first, maybe just a teeny tiny circle spreading outward. And look how they grow. Wider, wider, until the whole surface moves. That, my fellow Toastmasters, that's what love is. And that is what leadership does. One small act, one gesture, one word, and suddenly the energy in the room shifts. It ripples far beyond what you can imagine. fellow Toastmasters and guests. Momentum is never neutral. It's always moving, maybe towards something or away from something. And every leader creates momentum through their voice, through their silence, through their actions, through their emotional presence. You may not realize it, but people feel the ripple before they even hear the words. You don't just walk into the rooms. You change the emotional weather within that room that you're walking into. So I want you to ask yourself, what kind of forecast am I bringing today? I would like to invite everyone to close your eyes for a few seconds. Think of a leader or a mentor or a friend who believed in you when you doubted yourself. And now open your eyes. I want you to type one word in the chat that describes how they made you feel. Cared for, empowered, confident, well, valued. And that feeling, that is positive momentum. I could see seen, inspired, noticed, confidence. We all experienced it. And I remember one day, I was rushing to a Zoom meeting. My hair is messy. My mind was scattered as I'm still from my office going at home. And I am completely late. And on top of that, I forgot to bring something. And that moment, I know I made a mistake. You know, at that time, my chest tightens, my mind races, and I expect judgment. I expect some criticisms and maybe a bit of scolding. And then someone just told me, "It's okay, Nelly. You'll figure it out." Just that one sentence. No further blame, no drama, and instantly, whew, my shoulder dropped, my breathing slowed down, and my confidence is returned. And all throughout the meeting, I felt confident. But somehow, we'll go to the opposite side of the ripple. We also felt the other side. Maybe a sharp tone, raised eyebrows, a heavy sigh, a sarcastic comment, wow, okay, so a dismissive look. And after those, you suddenly feel less confident. And so you stop speaking, you stop trying, you stop hoping, you stop believing. That is negative momentum. I was once in a meeting where I finally built the courage to speak. Well, still at that time, my heart's racing. My hands is shaking as I share the idea. But then, while I'm in the middle of sharing it, the leader just says, "Stop, Nelly, stop." I've already think of that. I don't think it will work. No eye contact, no curiosity, no warmth. Just one sentence stopped. I already think about that, and I don't think it will work. And suddenly, at that time, my chest tightens, my energy drops, and my idea disappears. and I never had the confidence to speak again. And that one moment follows another, into the next meeting, the next project, into my next confidence. You see, one moment, one ripple, one culture shift, two different approaches, the same power, just moving in the opposite direction. Now, this is what leadership momentum feels like when it moves into two directions. A momentum of leadership is meaningless. How could anyone think that people need love? Results are far more valuable than connection. Authority and control. Don't be tempted into thinking, your team isn't complete without. It's naive to believe that love builds leaders, that a word, a pause, a gesture, they mean nothing. It may be a cliche, but only the weak leaders use a heart. When there is love, there is strength. Kindness only breeds suspicion. You should never believed that the momentum of love and leadership spark something. Now, let's reverse the momentum. A momentum of love can spark greatness. You should never believe that love only brings sadness and disappointment. Where there is love, there is life. A truly content and wise person would never say that only fools fall in love. It may be a cliche, but they mean something. And not a pause, a gesture, a smile. Love conquers all. It's so childish to think that your life isn't complete without experiencing love. Don't be tempted into thinking wealth and power are all you really need. Love is so much valuable than money. People need love. And so, how could anyone think that a momentum of love is meaningless? And this is what leadership does. It chooses which direction the momentum flows. You may think your actions are small, but small things builds direction. Direction builds energy, and energy builds culture. And since we've been feeling the ripples, now we're going to understand them. When psychologist Daniel Coleman studied the difference between the average leaders and the great ones, he expected to find intelligence, experience, technical skills. But the result? That's not what separated them. What made the biggest difference was emotional intelligence, not the IQ, not the authority, not the position, but the ability to recognize, to manage, and to respond to emotions in yourself and in others. And 90% of what separates high-performing leaders from the average one is emotional intelligence. That means your success as a leader is not about being the smartest one in the room. It is also about being the most emotionally aware. So I wanted to make this simple. Coleman found that great leaders consistently practices 5 skills. That was self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, social skill. Self-awareness is like saying, I know what I'm feeling. Self-regulation is like saying, I chose how I respond. And motivation, saying, I lead with a purpose. Empathy is like saying, I feel what others feel. And social skill is saying, I connect intentionally. And every ripple we create flows from these 5 choices. Imagine walking into the room smiling. And now, imagine yourself walking into the room sighing, sad, now without energy. Still the same room, but there's different ripples. And so, you are always setting the emotional temperature. So, okay, my fellow Toastmasters, let's create the ripple now. Now, I want you to look someone on Zoom, maybe on the participants, and look for someone you haven't spoken to yet. It may be a fellow leadership speak member or a guest. Mention them in the chat while giving them a virtual smile. A virtual smiley, I mean. It may be a wink or a playful wave, a simple greeting, a heart. Maybe share it in the chat. Now notice how it makes you feel. Notice how someone will feel if they are not acknowledged, if they are not seen. Leadership begins with a small, intentional acts of care. Leadership is also love emotion. It's listening. It's noticing someone. It's encouraging courage when someone feels nervous. It's pausing before reacting. Momentum begins in you. One small act, one word, one smile. And the ripples go far, far, far and wide. And so this Valentine's Day, let your love ripple through your relationships, your family, your friends, through your team, throughout your life. Notice how the small moments make you feel. Lead with the heart. Create ripples of care. Even in the teeny tiniest act, smile. A note to someone, a message to someone, maybe a text message or a phone call, a pause. Whatever you think of, it can transform energy, trust, and culture. So I want everyone to raise your hand if you will create at least one ripple this week. Lead with love. Lead it ripple. Watch it spread. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone.
Wow, Nelly. We need a few seconds to feel that momentum of love that you created for all of us. Thank you. And now we go to the next segment of our meeting, which is the prepared speeches. Our first speaker is Ghada Almojarkish. Can I ask the Zoom master to spotlight Ghada, please? Hi, Ghada.
Hi.
And her
Oh, good.
evaluator is Toastmaster Paramjit. No, not Paramjit. Sorry. Angela Brown. There she is. Angela, can you give us the purpose of Ghada's project?
The purpose of Ghada's speech is to practice applying feedback and to serve as a speech evaluator during the club. Ghada has presented this speech before, and I'm evaluating it for a second time to see if she has incorporated any of the suggestions that she got from the first evaluator. Back to you, Gilda.
Thank you. Thank you, Angela. Ghada pours her knowledge, energy, and heart into everything she does, cultivating growth within and for the people around her. Ghada Almojarkish, no news is not good news. No news is not good news. Ghada, the stage is yours.
Thank you. When was the last time you stayed silent, even though you had something important to say? Take a moment and think about it. A time you had a concern, an ideas, or a disagreement, but you chose quiet instead. Most of us have lived that moment, and that is exactly where my message begins. Silence doesn't always mean peace. Sometimes it means fear. Sometimes it means self-protection. And sometimes it means people do not feel safe enough to be honest. For years, I studied leadership, how to motivate, inspire, and communicate clearly, how to be the ideal leader. Yet I still found myself surprised by reaction I didn't expect and attitudes I hadn't planned for. Then one experience changed my perspective. I once led a meeting where I carefully explained the plan, the deadlines, and the expectations. I asked for questions. Everyone nodded. No objections, no debate. I left the room feeling confident. But later, deadlines were missed. Tasks were done incorrectly. And someone finally said, I misunderstood. My first reaction was frustration. I wondered, why didn't they just say something? But then it hit me. Misunderstanding is rarely disobedience. It's feedback, a signal that either my message wasn't clear enough or the environment didn't feel safe enough to someone to say, I'm not sure, I disagree. The truth is, people are not machines. They carry internal battles, insecurities, fears, and concerns. They face external pressures, family issues, financial struggle. And leaders too operate under pressure, confusion, and blind spots. This is why psychological safety matters. It's a shared belief that it is safe to speak up, to be candid without being judged or punished. Because when people feel safe to talk, teams build trust, and the trust builds momentum. Without it, people do not challenge ideas, do not admit mistakes, and do not share concerns. Problems do not disappear. They just go underground and they quietly steal a team's momentum. And when leaders doesn't fear confusion, they invite it. Because confusion leads to clarification, and the clarification leads to learning, which leads to grow. Remember this: silence delays truth, and delayed truth is expensive. Silence after communication is not a success sign. It's a leadership red flag. So, the next time the room goes quiet, do not assume everything is fine. Try one small action to invite a voice. Ask, what concerns might we be missing? Say it's okay to disagree. Thank someone for raising a doubt, because one brave voice can save a team from many hidden problems. And that's why in leadership and in life, no news is not good news. Thank you, and happy Valentine Day with all love from me, Ghada, to all of you. Thank you. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Ghada, for your speech where you told us and reminded us that trust builds momentum. How true that is. Thank you. Our second speaker is Marie Cusin. She works in the medical field. That's why it's very important for her to read beyond emotions. Her evaluator is Wahiga Shikenga. If we can spot Wahiga. No, her evaluator, sorry, my apologies, is Pulkit Gupta. Pulkit, can you please give us the purpose of Marie's speech? Thank you.
Absolutely, Toastmaster Day, Toastmaster Gilda. So Marie is delivering her speech from the pathway Motivational Strategies. It's a level 3, Project 1 speech titled Understanding Emotional Intelligence. The purpose statements of this speech project are 2. The first is for the member to cultivate an understanding of how their emotions impact their relationships. It is also designed to help the member identify how others' emotions impact their emotional state. Statement number 2 is for the member to share some aspect of their experience journaling emotions or being aware of emotions when interacting with others. Timer, please take note. It's a 5 to 7 minute speech. I wish Marie all the best. Over to you, Toastmaster Gilda.
Thank you, Pulkit, and happy Valentine's Day to you. And now, Mary Cousin with a title of 30 Seconds of Ripples. 30 Seconds of Ripples. Marie Cousin, the stage is yours.
February 14, Valentine's Day. Let's talk about love. But not the kind you're thinking of. What is the smallest unit of leadership that creates momentum? A strategic decision? No. A great speech? No. A reorganization? Even less no. The answer, a moment. A single moment of humanity. 30 seconds where you truly see the person in front of you. And today, I am going to tell you how 30 seconds in a medical office created a ripple, an emotional wave that transformed an entire waiting room. It's Tuesday morning at the medical office. The waiting room is packed. In front of me, two ladies in pink, 4 canes. An 80-year-old mother and her injured daughter with a sprained ankle. My job? Simple. Register the patient. Update the file. Mrs. Daumont, your email address? Silence. She looked at me. Her eyes are an ocean of pain. I don't remember anymore. Her daughter intervenes. Please, excuse her. My dad is in palliative care. And Mrs. Daumont breaks down. I don't know anything anymore. I'm stupid. My daughter sprained her ankle. My life has no meaning anymore. Stop. At this precise moment, I have 2 choices. Option A. No problem, ma'am. We will find that in the system. Procedural, efficient, distant. Option B. Create a ripple. Use emotional intelligence. Guess what I choose? Emotional intelligence in action, obviously. I truly look at this woman, not a patient, not a file number. I see a woman whose 80-year-old husband is dying. A mother worried about her injured daughter. A mind that forgets to survive. And I noticed 2 women in pink on 4 canes. The image strikes me. They look like 2 flamingos. 2 flamingos like that. That's when I make the choice. The choice to create a ripple, to introduce humor into this ocean of sadness. Mr. Dumont, your daughter is jealous. She looked at me, confused. Yes, she wants to compete with you. Look, she has got canes. I'm looking at two flamingos. Silence. Her face changes. Imagine your husband when he sees you, the two women of his life, hobbling along with their canes to kiss him first. Who do you think he will bet on? And then Mr. Dumont laughs. She really laughs, wholeheartedly. Her daughter too, clashing to the canes, shaken by an impossible, miraculous joy. For 40 seconds, Mr. Dumont is no longer a woman losing her husband. She's a mother, laughing with her daughter. She allows herself to laugh during a difficult moment. And then the magic of emotional intelligence, she remembered her email all by yourself. But that's not all. The atmosphere in the waiting room changed. The older patient smiled. My colleague looked at me differently. The daughter whispers, "Thank you, really, thank you." One moment, 30 seconds, infinite ripples. Emotional intelligence is not a soft skill. It's the most powerful tool in your leadership arsenal. So starting today, here are the 3 ripples you can create. Ripple 1, truly see people. Authority doesn't come from distance, but from emotional proximity. Ripple 2, empathy under pressure creates performance. Empathy is not a cost, it's an investment. Ripple 3, small act creates the biggest waves. And those ripples continue even today. So today, on this Valentine's Day, I challenge you, look for the moments. Leadership isn't what you do in the big moments. It's who you choose to be in the small ones. Choose the moment, create the ripple, generate the momentum that transforms. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Marie, for your speech and for using emotional intelligence in your communication to make a sad woman into happier and with a smile. Thank you. Our third speaker is Mamadou Guebre, and his evaluator is Wahiga Shikega. Mamadou, Zoom Master, can you spotlight speaker number 3? Mamadou? Let me go to the Toastmaster Mamadou. Can you turn your camera on so we could spotlight you?
Gilda, Mamadou may have disconnected for a while. Maybe we might want to
Okay,
try.
we can go to the next speaker, speaker number 4. And speaker number 4 is Buhari Zayyad. Buhari is a public speaking enthusiast who has a keen interest in motivating and inspiring. In leadership, he has held the position of VP Education and President of Gemstone Toastmaster Club. His thought of the theme of today, he said, there is power in starting small and growing big. As they say, Rome was not built in one day. Buhari's evaluator is none other than our president, Home Tech. Can I get Home and Buhari spotlighted? Yes. Holmes, can you please give us the purpose of Buhari's speech today?
Thank you, TMOD. Buhari is doing a project called Effective Body Language. The purpose of this project is for the member to deliver a speech with awareness of intentional and unintentional body language, as well as to learn, to practice, and refine how they use non-verbal communication when delivering a speech. When I communicated with Buhari earlier, we aligned that the body language will be the key focus of my evaluation, which will be slightly different from how we typically evaluate most speeches, which focus on the purpose of the speech, followed by many different pointers. Buhari, I look forward to your body language in this speech. Back to TMOD.
Thank you, Holmes. Buhari Zayyad, never forget. Never forget Buhari Zayyad. The stage is all yours.
As they say, if you don't know where you are going to, then you should know where you are coming from. Never forget. There lived 3 men in a village. One was blind. The second was having skin issues. And the third was having cripple effects, hands. Some of his fingers were cut off. One day, a man walked into that village and he met the cripple whose fingers were cut off and asked, "What's wrong with you? You don't look well." And the person said, "Oh yes, I'm struggling. My fingers have been cut off and I was told there wasn't any medication for me to get better." And the man said, "No problem. I'm going to pray for you. And after my prayers, you would get some healing." So it happened. He got healed with that. His fingers were now as normal as the other human beings. Second person had some hair problem where he had very difficult hair growth on his body. That man met him and also spoke to him about it. He prayed for him and he got healed. And the third, the blind man who couldn't see, was asked, "What's wrong with you?" And he said, the only wish he had was for him to have eyes. And his wish was granted, and he could finally see. Years passed by, and the same person who prayed for the 3 fellows came back, first to the crippled, and said, "I need some money. Please, can you help me? As I can see, after your health challenges, you become a very successful businessman." And the man said, "No, I was never having challenge issues. I was normal. My fingers were never in a difficult position." And the man said, "Are you sure of what you are saying? Never forget where you left." And he said, "No, I was never on ill." And he said, "Okay, no problem. If you were not saying the truth, then it will be bound on you to go back from where you're coming from. Time passed by, and that same element came back. His fingers started to cut off. He used all the money he had to get better, and he never did. Secondly, the person who had issues with his hair growth was also visited by the same man. Hello, sir. Please, I need some assistance. Can you help me? I realized that you have some wealth, and according to the stories I've heard about you, that you had some health challenges. Can you help me out? He said, never have I ever had issues with my health. As you can see, my body and head, I have beautiful hair growing everywhere. Where did you get this story from, young man? Please leave my presence. The man said, never forget where you came from. He left. Few moments later, he started feeling some itches on his body and head, and he used up all his wealth that he had to get better. Never did. The third person was visited, and this time around, the man changed his posture also as a blind man. And when he came, he was standing, please, I'm looking for this person. And the person saw him and he ran to him and held his hands and said, come over, please, have a seat. What is wrong with you? He said, I have been suffering eye problem. And my only wish is to get some money I would use to get medication to now see better. That person now kept quiet for a while and said, oh, their visitor. I was in this situation many, many years ago, but now I'm a changed and a person. I've been healed to see the beauty of it. Please tell me your demands. What do you need to get better? And the man said, I need some money to get medications, and I also need some money for my upkeep. He said, please go with this storekeeper. Take everything that you feel you need to be healed on your journey back to having your sight back, as I'm very happy and pleased to help you. And the man suddenly stood up and said, I am not blind. I was the same person who met you many years ago in your current situation that you see me. I prayed for you. You got healed, and you never forget or forgot where you come from. Glad tidings to you, for you have showed indeed what humility and commitment is, for knowing the kind of responsibility you're supposed to give to others, give to society, for you know and remember where you came from. Ladies and gentlemen, how many times have people helped you in your career, in your finances, in your business, and in your family, and of course, even in Toastmasters? There are two options. It's either for you to forget where you came from, or remember where you always come from, so that you give back, just like the ripple effect. So it's over to you now, either to give back or to stay back. The choice is yours. Over to you, the Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Buhari, for this speech. Never forget the people who helped us. Never forget the people who made us the way we are. Humility and commitment. Great reminders. Thank you. Now we could go back to our third speaker, Mamadou Guebre. Mamadou Guebre is an aviation professional. an advocacy expert and training, speaker and executive leadership and business coaching. He says leadership is positive influence, nothing more, nothing less. And every intentional act from a leader multiplies through people, shaping culture and results far beyond the direct reach. Mamadou's evaluator is Toastmaster Wahiga Shkega. Wahiga, welcome. Can you give us the purpose of Mamadou's speech today?
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day, Gilda. Mamadou is taking a level 3 project studying emotional intelligence. The purpose of this speech is for him to cultivate an understanding of how his emotions impact his relationships. It's also designed to help him identify how others' emotions impact his emotional state. He asked me to look out for his gestures and poses if they are natural. And all the best, Mamadou. And back to you, Toastmaster of the Day, Gilda.
Thank you, Wahiga. Mamadou, what if you were in a box? What if you were in a box? Mamadou Guebre, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster of the Day, with your golden voice. Really appreciate. Dear fellow Toastmasters and guests, please take some time to look around you, left, right, front, back, up, down. It looks like we are in a box. Unless you are at the beach right now, you feel like you are in a box. And this reminds me of what French philosopher and writer Jean-Jacques Rousseau said: man is born free, and everywhere he is in chains. Man is born free, and everywhere he is in chains. And this reminds you of this story about Naval Captain Marcus. Well, in a dark night, in rough waters, in the middle of the ocean, a naval captain named Marcus is suddenly awakened by his lookout. Captain, there's a ship 20 miles ahead. It's an hour sailing and it's refusing to change course. Captain Marcus, confident in his authority and the size of his battleship, picks up the radio and commands, "Hello, Captain Marcus here. You divert your course 20 degrees starboard at once." And the voice comes back, "Negative, you divert your course." Captain Marcus, a bit peeved and losing patience, said, "I'm the captain of the largest battleship in this fleet. You divert your course now." The voice comes back, unmoved, patient, and calm, and answers, "You divert your course." Captain Marcus is now angry and confident in his power. He doubles down and stiffens. "I am Captain Marcus, the captain of a 50,000-ton warship. Now you divert your course at once." And the voice answers, still calm, patient, unmoved, "And I am the keeper of a lighthouse." Boom. Captain Marcus now realized that everything shifts. A lighthouse doesn't move. A lighthouse doesn't negotiate. A lighthouse doesn't argue. A lighthouse just is. A lighthouse represents truth, unchanged laws and principles. And Captain Marcus realizes that no matter his strength, no matter the size of his battleship, he was heading toward a collision, and not just collision. The question this story leaves us with is this: how many times we as leaders, as managers, as team members, or as simple human beings, how many times do we try to force the world to move or to do things or to be a certain way when at that particular time we should be the one who need to shift to adapt? And how do we know the difference? Because lighthouses come in different forms. There are lighthouses that come in light. They lighten our path. And there are lighthouses that come in the form of roadblocks, obstacles. And there are lighthouses as well that come in the form of human beings, of people. And we all know that people are different. But people are predictably different. So how do we recognize who is who? Who is a person in the form of a lighthouse as a light, and who's represent a lighthouse as a roadblock? How do we recognize that? Any guess? We look for patterns. Patterns. Because patterns represent clues. Patterns introduce us to clues in people's behaviors, attitude, actions, emotions, and what to expect. Because most of the time we just double down. We go ahead with our natural instinct, our blind spots, our common sense, our unconscious biases, and we wonder why emotional strategies that work for one team member really don't work for others. Why? Most of the time we mean well, but conflict just appears from nowhere. We wonder why we are unable to get along with people that are not bad per se, but we don't understand why. What we need to realize is that not everyone or everything deserves our response. And each time we need to realize that real leadership isn't in a reaction. Because anytime a customer reacts, a customer gives you a feedback, anytime something that peeves you and you need to react, you are not in control. You are in chains. And those chains are subtle and they are the powerful chains. Because unless you realize and that there are patterns, until you recognize those patterns, and how do we call someone who recognizes patterns? He's aware. That's called for self-awareness and also awareness of others. So next time you feel the need to react, you feel the need to overreact, just pause. Take your time, breathe, and think. Yes, think. And remember that leaders recognize patterns, and leaders are mostly self-aware. And the more you are self-aware, the more you are aware of others. And when you are aware, you know better. And when you do better, you do better. Back to you, Madam TMOD.
Mamadou, I'm gonna pause. Then say thank you for reminding us that everyone needs to pause, follow the pattern, and not to react. And this will take us to the end of our prepared speeches. And before we get into the next session, I would like to invite all our valuable audience, the guests, to fill in the guest book, and our PR master will put it in the chat box. There you go. He already put it in the chat box. Fill in your information and we will love to get to connect with you. Also, our speakers would like to hear or to see your feedback in the chat box. Now let me call our timer to post. Timer, can you please post the time, speaker's time in the chat box as well? Thank you. Thank you, Bilkit. Can I ask the Zoom master to put the poll for best effort speaker? Let's all vote for best effort speaker. Okay. And the poll is done. Now we get into the next segment, which is the feedback, the evaluation. And our general evaluator is Rozy, Rana. Rozy is seasoned Toastmaster and leader who brings depth, clarity, and heart to everything she does. She has served at multiple leadership levels and is a recipient of the President's Citation Award, having successfully founded, then led District 114 East Africa to Smedley Distinguished Status. As a general evaluator, Rozy believes evaluation is not about fault finding. It's about impact. How combining excellence and heart can bring out feedback that shape growth. In line with today's theme, the ripple effects of leadership, Rozy says, thoughtful feedback often creates the strongest and most lasting ripple. The stage is all yours, General Evaluator Rozy Rana.
Thank you very, very much, Madam Toastmaster, and very well done. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, fellow Toastmasters and our most welcome guests. It is my honor today to be your General Evaluator, and I'll start by wishing you all Happy Valentine's Day. Today's theme, the ripple effects of leadership, just keeps reminding us that it is just those small acts that could cause the longest lasting ripple effects. And that's what leaders do. As your general evaluator, today I will be overseeing this section or the evaluation segment, and the meeting will unfold in 3 sections. The first is I'll be inviting seasoned Toastmasters to evaluate the many speakers you have heard this far. Secondly, I'll invite some of the role takers. And finally, I will share a broader evaluation. So let's move swiftly to the first section. And our first evaluator will be the evaluator of our toast that was delivered by Rashmi. Our evaluator, Paramjit Singh, is a Toastmaster who lives in Dubai. He wears many hats. Most people know him as a design and development manager, but did you know he's also an NLP coach and a trainer? Today's Valentine's Day, and many of us have heard him deliver many humorous speeches, and he always brings in his wife. Isn't that true to the theme of Valentine's? Because love and leadership are all, or shall I say marriage and leadership, Both need similar attention. Over to you, Paramjit, to evaluate Rashmi's toast.
Thank you very much, General Evaluator, Rozy. I think my wife is calling me. That's why there's a phone ringing over there. She might have heard to you. Let it run. I think it's not disturbing. If it's not disturbing, okay.
No.
Rashmi, if someone want to understand how to create the ripples in your first speech in any club or on the platform, he should connect the Rashmi. Because she created the ripples with the very moment she started her speech. To be precise, not even while before speaking, the background. She used the ripples. And then the stone throwing. That was very much clear what purpose she is going to ask us to toast, as well as very much aligned with the theme of the day. And that was very clear that what we are going to have a toast for today. Now, she explained it very clearly with her experiences at the Toastmaster Club and Leadership Speak, and how leaders at both places created ripples and achieved a success and created more leaders. Now, what are the ripples I liked about her speech? The first ripple, the inner circle ripple, I really liked was the concise structure, brief but very meaningful, very clear structure, and attention grabbing with the background as well as with the stone. Her eye contact, about 80 to 90%, she was having absolute eye contact with the audience. Well, it was engaging. Now the third was the pace she used for the speech, and the pauses, purposeful pauses, gave us a lot of time to understand what she's speaking with her clear English vocabulary and use of the good words. I appreciate one more thing, which most of the time the toast forget, and that is waiting for the people to get up and be ready for giving the toast. She waited for the people to do that, and then she announced that. Now, she can create more ripples by adding few of the things. The first thing is background, zoom presence. She did very good because she wanted to show the ripple, but unfortunately, 50% of the screen was free and we couldn't see her hand movement until she started speaking about giving the toast. I'll just show you the way. Give me 1 minute. If you see, of course, she wanted to show the ripples, but she was not able to. It was totally 50% was not available, so we couldn't see her moment. And a more energy would have created more energy in the room. With all the ripples she created, like engaging, well-structured speech, good eye contact, she can, with more pauses and with more Zoom presence, she can raise a toast where hundreds of people can raise, absolutely engaging with her. Over to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Paramjit. And I know that today was Rashmi's pretty much debut, and your evaluation gave her a lot of momentum for continuity and motivated her. That was really, really positive. You gave her several positive points that uplifted her. If I have one recommendation for you, Paramjit, is here, and especially in an advanced club, we are always looking to see where our speakers can grow. So be mindful of the time. I think the first point of improvement came when the flag went red and you still continued, but I'm glad you were able to continue and give her the entire feedback. Nonetheless, it is important that we observe time, but very, very well done. We'll now move on to our next evaluator, who is our Vice President Education, Nicole Whyte. Nicole Whyte will be evaluating our energetic Toastmaster of the day, Gilda. Nicole says to us, because today's Valentine's Day, and she says this day reminds her of being loved. it reminds her of showing love and knowing that the two are precious gifts. Today's theme reflects exactly that leadership, that values leading from the heart, and where empathy and intention are important, are those elements that create meaningful ripples. Over to you, Nicole.
Thank you, General Evaluator Rozy. Gilda, our lovely Toastmaster of the day. I'll begin where you excelled. First, preparation. Your ripple began long before the meeting started, and it was felt. Creating the WhatsApp group on time showed foresight and intentional leadership. The group remained active because you were engaged, following up and connecting directly with role players. Even in our one-on-one interaction, I saw that, or your personal investment. And that level of care creates momentum. When the meeting began, your preparation showed. You ensured the Zoom background was shared, and you supported the Zoom master by asking role players to rename themselves for seamless spotlighting. These details may seem small, but they create a smooth experience, and smooth experiences create strong ripples. Second, your warm presence, Gilda. You welcome guests and members with warmth and professionalism. And lastly, your explanation of the theme, the ripple effects of leadership, grounded us in purpose. And your introductions were thoughtful by inviting speakers to reflect on the theme and sharing their own Valentine's insights. You set a cohesive and engaging tone. Now, 2 recommendations to elevate you further. First, your flow. At times, looking down at printed notes slightly interrupted your momentum. So I recommend you add your script to your computer screen to maintain eye contact and a seamless transition. This will strengthen your presence and delivery. And second, amplify the why. The why behind our agenda and what we do here. There was an opportunity to build excitement around our leadership educational speaker by explaining why the keynote style speech is significant. Highlighting that or this uniqueness would deepen the impact for our guests and reinforce what differentiates our club. Overall, you were organized, warm, and intentional. If you could just refine your flow and emphasize our why, and your leadership ripple will extend even further. Well done. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Well done, Nicole. A very comprehensive evaluation delivered with grace, delivered to drive the Toastmaster of the Day's growth, both build her up and give her very, very specific suggestions for where she could do better and guiding her exactly how she could. That was really well delivered. Congratulations. I also very much valued the fact that you made the time to not only give both sides, but deliver a summary. Beautifully delivered. I'll now move on to the evaluator of our education speaker. We've just heard Nicole Whyte, our Vice President Education, point out how this is a very special role that we have here at Leadership Speak. I would now invite Amber Katrina Pate to evaluate our education speaker, Nelly Jane. Over to you, Amber.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. Nelly Jane asked me to focus on her pauses, her Zoom presence, and smooth transitions. Nelly Jane, you started out soft, slow, with many thoughtful pauses. Then you moved into a more paced rhythm, still rich with pauses. Now, Speakers who tend to naturally get excited and speak very fast, like you and me, have to be very careful not to fall into one little trap when we are trying to pace ourselves so others can follow us, and that is to not slip into the exact opposite, because then we become predictable, we become boring, and we lose that momentum. And this is where you pulled you made excellent use of your vocal variety, your facial expressions, and also gestures that were just right to switch things up off and on and keep us engaged throughout. Especially when you asked us to close our eyes, guided meditation type, but your voice stayed very clear and crisp so that we couldn't get drowsy. That was very good. You clearly possess excellent presentation skills. You present compelling content and are also a pro at multitasking. That seamlessly reading through the chat created instant connection. We felt that you actually cared about the answers that people were typing in the chat box. And I particularly loved the effect on your background, that bouncing heart, creating those ripples, which were then going over into the other side of the screen, which would be this side, right? That kept us engaged as well, demonstrating what you wanted us to understand and take away with your speech. Also with that scrolling first upwards and then downwards of those words, helping us see that message. So all in all, I can say, Nelly Jane, congratulations on your first educational speech. You demonstrated and embodied the rippling momentum that you wanted us to inspire to bring into our own lives. And you did this by serving us all, indeed, with your leadership, by leading with heart. Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. Back over to you.
Thank you very much, Amber. Amber, you said to me that true leadership at its core is an act of love. And indeed, you showed love today to our education speaker, Nelly Jane. As you uplifted her, you recognized the fact that this was her first educational speech, and you highlighted very, very, very many strengths. And well done on a crisp, well, authoritatively delivered evaluation. As we continue with having these small acts of kindness over and above uplifting comments, often it helps to find an area where our speakers can improve. And there's always room for improvement. It is said the biggest room is the room for improvement. So I'd encourage you to add to that act of love those elements that will uplift the speaker. So I encourage you, I'm sure, and maybe you can do that even aside and after this presentation, meet up with the education speaker. There must be one or two areas you could guide her on. Thank you. Brilliant. We will now move on to the main speeches. I mean, the leadership education speech is also a speech, but we tend to call them now speaker one. So I will now move on to our speaker one. Our first speaker today was Ghada, and Ghada is going to be evaluated by Angela Brown. I found Angela's theme introduction, very interesting. She said, leadership is never contained. And I was like, what does that mean? And she says, it goes so well with the theme. She says, it influences people who then influence other people. Isn't that what ripples mean? Over to you, Angela Brown. Mm-hmm.
Good morning. Good morning, General Evaluator. Welcome, guests, and especially you, Ghada. I have the pleasure of evaluating your your speech the second time around, and I have to say that you did an amazing job. These are my key takeaways. You had a smooth flow supported by clear, pleasant, and engaging voice that held our attention thoroughly. You clearly articulated and well-managed pacing, making the message follow through. You had strong eye contact with the audience throughout your speech, being consistently aware of the camera. Your well-structured speech with clear introduction, with strong examples from your own personal experience and confident conclusion. An effective opening question that clearly immediately engage the audience and encourage reflection and connection. You may want to work on allowing slightly more space during key moments so important messages can land fully. And challenge yourself after asking a question, take a brief pause and invite one or more members to respond verbally to your questions, or they could respond in the chat, which increases interaction and engagement. Very well done speech. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Angela, for a very well-structured and grounded observation, pointing out many observations of your speaker. I thought you were very thorough. I felt you had taken the time to write out your evaluation and so that you couldn't miss any point. And I'm very sure that Ghada has received valuable feedback, both positive and where she can improve. Well done for that. If there's one area I would like to request you to look at or consider looking at that would uplift you as an evaluator is it's good not to miss anything and therefore to write things down, but perhaps for ease of reference, have pointers rather than read out the entire evaluation, because as you were doing that, it felt more read and less personal. And an evaluation is it's very important that an evaluation can connect and the speaker feels you are talking to her. That always makes a difference because the speaker has an option and that will feel more sincere. Okay, thank you. I'll now move on to our second speaker or second speaker, and the evaluator for Marie Cusin is Pulkit Gupta. Pulkit has been a Toastmaster for 3 years. He says he's a software engineer by profession, but how I relate or know Pulkit, having observed him in many different forums, he is the person who knows every championship speech. He will throw them out. The 2023 champion of public speaking said this, the 2019 said that, 2018 says that. That just shows how deeply he listens to, observes world champions in his own quest for leadership development. Pulkit, over to you to evaluate Marie Cusin.
Thank you so much, General Evaluator Rozy. And thanks, Marie, for inviting us to explore the power of ripples. 30 seconds of pure emotional moments between people can create. And I do believe your speech created positive ripples. Firstly, Marie chose a simple, digestible structure for her speech. Most of her speech was a story box, followed by a clear message box. In public speaking, often simplicity equates to elegance because more people can relate or digest the speech. So well done, Marie, for choosing a simple, clear structure. The second commendation is the storytelling was on point, at least the storytelling elements. So we often say start with a location and action in a story. And we knew at the very start, Marie is attending to patients in a waiting room at a hospital. The stage was set. The character development was done both visually with her body language and with the words. The 80-year-old man, the specific age, then the daughter with the sprain, the pink, the flamingos, the lady who's about to cry. All those visual and verbal based elements made us be a part of that hospital waiting room. And that is what a pro storyteller do. And beautifully done by Mary today. Let's understand how Murray could have amplified her ripples, especially on the story element. This is not a recommendation per se, but a challenge or a way to improve her story box model. So we ended on message box today, Murray. But how about we did not bring the message explicitly, but end on the story's highlight itself? We call end on the 5-second movement or end on the story's highlight. And secondly, let your story show an emotional change in you as a character. For example, let's say the story starts with Marie entering her waiting room at a hospital where there's gloominess, and she believes that she feels sad. She feels sad because she believes she is powerless to change the gloom around her. And then the story starts. She cracks the joke. The lady starts laughing. People around her starts laughing. And during that moment, we bring the highlight of the story. Marie finally smiles for the first time that day. She smiles because she has realized the true power she holds inside her, the power to change the gloom. So essentially, now Marie has changed in the story from a lady who believes she's powerless to change the gloom around her to someone who has realized her true power towards the end. This is called the emotional arc. It's very important storytelling. And then, yes, end on your highlight. The story ends. People will get the message. People will realize their power when they see your power emerging. So that's it. End on your story's highlight. Show the emotional change, Marie, but your storytelling elements when it comes to character development, stage setting was beautiful. And your simple story box model with a message box at the end is a good way to start storytelling. I wish you all the best, Marie. Keep on creating ripples. Over to you, Rozy.
Thank you very much, Pulkit. Your expertise shone through your evaluation. What was particularly exciting was that element of having really listened to Marie. You were very, very clear in how you helped her, picking very specific elements. I also like how you have, I don't know, in a speech, normally Craig Valentine would call it foundational phrases, but you have many single phrases that are very memorable, but very educative to every one of us. Something like simplicity brings elegance, or storytelling is about, I'll paraphrase, but let your emotions shine through the story. I think all those are very memorable and they stick with us, and I'm sure they will stay with Marie. An area, and I'm sure you've been faulted for this before, like I have, is time. The red flag was there, so just be careful. You did see the flag, but that didn't stop you from summarizing it. So just be aware of time, because it does. One of the skills we get stronger at is trying to still constrict our feedback, yet be uplifting within the time that's allotted to us. Thank you. I'll now move on to our next speaker, although on the agenda, our speaker 3 was Mamadou, because in today's delivery, our third speaker was Buhari Zayyad. I'll call upon Buhari's evaluator, who is our president, Toastmaster Holmes. Toastmaster Holmes also introduces himself as a project manager with the Singapore government. What I have to say of Holmes is that, well, if staying awake till midnight for loved ones is a sign of love, then he every week shows love to Leadership Speak and to his development or his growth, because it is close to midnight. It's well after 11 o'clock in Singapore where he is, but he's here to help us and to develop himself. Over to you, Holmes, to evaluate our speaker.
Thank you so much, GE. Fellow members and guests, my evaluation will solely be focused on the body language of Buhari as of the project objectives. I will divide my evaluation into two portions. Firstly, my observations of what Buhari did during the speech, and secondly, where I felt Buhari could have delivered the speech slightly differently, which would have made his message more effective. First part. Throughout his speech, Buhari was roughly standing in a position similar to mine. So my estimate of his setup is that the camera lies roughly within the space, but it is slightly facing up, about 5 to 15 degrees facing up. This had the advantage of allowing us to see his facial expression clearly and also have his presence throughout the entire speech. However, this position also has the disadvantage of, firstly, there isn't much room to maneuver around, and indeed, he wasn't using positionality as part of his speech. Second weakness, it is easy for hand gestures to be hiding behind the camera or outside of the camera as he was trying to gesture to us. Instead of this position, what I will recommend Buhari and all the speakers here to do is, firstly, try to put your camera, your device in a way that is vertically straight. Then to position yourself at least 1 to 1.5 meters away from your device. In this case, your hand gestures become clearer. 1, 2, 3, that place, that place. And you can also play around with the positionality. For example, the first village was of people who were blind. The second village was where there were skin problems. And the third village, they were without fingers. And in this process of moving around, it also creates time for the message, visual as well as emotional message, to sink into the hearts and minds of your audiences. Do note that there are various characters around. So this is where the different positionalities can also signal. This is now character 1 speaking. This is now character 2 and character 3. And reserve a central position for yourself versus the various people that may be involved. And you can also move further back or further front, depending on the particular effect that you want to make. I will sum up. Buhari, your speech was delivered in a position where we can see your facial expression clearly and have your presence. However, you could play around with your positionality by positioning yourself in the central position, then moving around, expressing your facial expression as needed, so that this creates time for the key message and the different emotions to sink in and for your audience to follow you visually better. Back to GE.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Holmes, for delivering a feedback that focused so purely on the objective of our speaker. It was interesting how your whole evaluation, because you decided to focus on what the speaker was working on, which is body language, was almost like a lesson in body language, as you shared many aspects where a speaker's body language can add impact to the speech and what could be done better or what could be done differently. Very, very well done. And I'm sure Buhari, and not only Buhari, all of us have taken many, many, many tips on body language. You also took time to then summarize it, which is great. And I realize you came with that objective and you delivered it really well. I still feel that for any speech, it is impossible to isolate just one element if you are to give comprehensive feedback. And even if it would have been about understanding the central theme of the message and aligning it with that objective of using body language, I think that would have added real value, because ultimately the core for any speech should be that that speaker has connected with their audience one way or another beyond just gestures, body language, and the like. So I think you did very well in focusing on what was needed. I do believe you would have added further impact if you would have focused on the core essence of the speech as well in the process. But thank you very, very much for caring for what he wanted to develop his speech skills in. Thank you. Now we'll move on to our fourth, or at least fourth in the order that we delivered our fourth speech. And that was delivered by Mamadou Guebre, and Mamadou's evaluator is Wahiga Gishinga. I know Wahiga personally, and I know how much she is passionate about speakers' growth. And she says that leadership begins by touching the heart of a team before you ever ask for anything else from that team member. A beautiful reminder that influence starts with heart connection. Over to you, Wahiga, to deliver the evaluation for Mamadou.
Thank you, Rozy Rana. A man is born free, and everywhere he is, he's in chains. What a powerful way to start a speech. A very unsettling one to imagine that possibly I am in a chain. You started off well with a hooker by helping us identify a box we are physically in, then went on to use a powerful illustration and demonstrating how we can be in chains by reacting. You're talking about the topic emotional intelligence. And that was powerfully demonstrated that we cannot not only be in an external box, we can be in an internal box. Very good use of vocal variety. You can never go wrong with vocal variety when you're using a story, especially when you have dialogue. Your volume and pitch was used effectively to deliver the message and the impact you wanted us to have. Good use of hand gestures when you are illustrating and emphasizing points. And my suggestion would be that perhaps in the next speech you could stand up, because then we could see more of you, because sometimes your words were getting lost in the screen. And that way we couldn't tell much more about what your hands were gesturing. Though at moments when you were emphasizing, they could pop up and we could exactly see and align with what you wanted to speak about with the speech. What could you do differently? One is the connection point. This is a speech about emotional intelligence. And so it's about emotions, it's about connecting with things. You showed us how leaders could do and pause, think, and react around or not react around whatever they are engaging in. And part of it was tell us how do you connect with this particular speech, because it was quite informational, it was quite useful. And that's how it allows an audience to connect with the speech better and more. So what qualifier you use to speak about the speech? You were a trainer, it was mentioned, but here, how do you connect with it? Second, it's the pace. You're a fast speaker, I can identify with that. And something had asked me to look out for is pauses. A good way for a fast speaker to be able to position their speech so that people can catch up with them and be able to follow what they're saying. My suggestion would be, when you're moving from one point to another, when you have this aha moment, like when you're saying boom, pause and count 1, 2, 3 internally to allow you to give space from one sentence to the other, from one point to the other. When you ask a question, so that when we are reflecting, we think about it. All in all, powerful, powerful speech. One can't forget every time they're interacting with somebody, or if they're in a box. Back to you, Madam Julie.
Thank you very much, Rehiga, for delivering a very well-structured evaluation. I mean, you had your points, you knew exactly what you were coming to, like you were, first this, second this. It was very well structured. Congratulations. And you helped your target speaker by pointing out points that the target speaker did very well as areas he or she could improve. For yourself, the end should be a summary, but I think your end was just powerful speech. So just try and summarize it at the end, but excellently delivered and very valuable insights. Thank you very much. So that brings us to the end of our evaluations, and I would now like to request our timer, Renan, to very kindly share the timing report that was very quick. Even before I could finish my sentence, I saw it pop up. So thank you very much, Renan. And so I will now that we have the timings, I'd request our Zoom master to put up the poll for the best effort evaluator. As that poll is continuing, I would request for the Zoom master, because I believe it's up to me, but I do not have co-host rights, so I cannot see the results. If I can request someone to pass them on to our PR manager in the meantime. We will now hear from our grammarian, Fabian, who has been listening. Our grammarian was Hannah. I'm not quite sure why the name was given. Okay, I will now invite Hannah, who has been listening attentively, I know, to the use of language, and invite her to share her report. Hannah?
Certainly, Madam General Evaluator. Gives me great pleasure. The word of the day, momentum. It did not create the ripple effect I had hoped for. Yet it was used about 5 to 6 times. And the English language used by our self-directed leaders has been flawless. And I have heard not any errors. But what I have noticed are a few outstanding words, quotes, sayings, like, where there is love, there is life. Definitely, when love is present, relationships deepen, and not only on Valentine's Day. Silence does not always mean fear. It is wisdom choosing the right moment before you speak, especially when it could turn into a confrontation. Rome was not built in a day. A reminder that all good things take time, even in leadership speak. You should never forget where you came from. Our past and our roots shape our values and guide to our decisions. Another one, everyone needs to pause before reacting. In a fast-moving world, the ability to slow down and reflect is not a weakness. It is a strength. How love can move hearts. Hope grows, and life feels richer and more vibrant. Ladies and gentlemen, Toastmasters, enjoy the rest of your Valentine's Day. For them, it's nearly over. Others, it's only sort of started. Do this every day. Enjoy your Valentine's Day. Doesn't matter when. Enjoy it. Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Hannah, for that very well-delivered grammarian's report. You pointed out some highlights of phrases which were really, really good, or one-liners. I agree with you fully well, and it was something I was going to say, that the word ripple rippled all the way, but the word momentum did not go as far as we would have liked it to the ripples to show us. That said, as a grammarian, when you point out good uses or when you point out that the word was used, even if not as much as you would have liked, it's always uplifting to encourage our speakers by naming them. Because when you name those who have used the word of the day or who have said those sentences that really stood out for you, they are encouraged to do that more frequently. So I encourage you to identify the people. Yeah, we did not identify the people who didn't do so well, but I noticed we didn't have any, and I'm sure there'll always be room, but well done. Thank you so much. It now gives me great pleasure to move on to the rest of the meeting and just give a broad feedback. A general feedback is what a beautiful meeting and what a nice way to spend Valentine's Day at Leadership Speak. There is so much love in the air, and we felt all the ripples. So much so that all my seasoned evaluators used the word ripple when they were talking about the positive points and how they were creating ripples. And therefore, in my feedback to them, I decided not to overuse it, but it was a beautiful effect. So I think it's a very, very well chosen theme by our Toastmaster of the Day. Toastmaster of the Day, I know you've had your feedback, but I want to thank you sincerely because throughout, not only did you start early but you reached out to every one of us. You have connected with me personally at least 3 times. Not only that, when I mentioned I had not had some feedback, you reached out to those individuals. So thank you for going the extra mile to make today such a beautiful meeting. I also want to thank those people who are working behind the scenes, who don't get seen that much. First, our trainers. Each one of you, I know, has reached out to the various role takers because it showed from how they delivered their feedback. So very well done on that. Our greeter was in early, full of energy and enthusiasm. And this greeter, Buhari, doubled up, was also a speaker. Congratulations. Thank you to the SAA, to the Zoom master. You all make the meeting so successful with what you do. Our timer ran on quick, as I said, did not even wait for me to finish my sentence before the timing was up. Thank you very, very much indeed. So I have thoroughly enjoyed the meeting now, and it gives me great pleasure to pass it on. I believe it will be the Toastmaster of the Day who will call upon the votes. So is it for me to call on the
Toastmaster of the Day?
The Toastmaster. So it gives me now great pleasure to pass the meeting back to Gilda to take over the next segment. Thank you.
Thank you, Rozy, Rana, for beautiful and impactful general evaluation. Dear guests, this is how we grow at Leadership Speak. I'm sure you enjoyed the takeaways of our self-directed leaders, enjoyed the feedback of our self-directed evaluators, including our general evaluators. At Leadership Speak, we combine excellence, critical thinking, and heart. And now let's listen to our last speech. And that is the thought of the day. And the thought of the day will be given by Kanab Huria. He says, little drops of rain make a mighty ocean. The stage is yours, Kanab Huria, for the thought of the day.
Rome was not built in a day. neither is your leadership journey. It starts with a small gesture of love, telling someone that, are you there? And making sure that you embrace the uniqueness in that particular person. And the storytelling, the evaluation you did for him in such a manner that he learned something. That creates a ripple effect by meeting by one evaluation, then another, then another. And that makes that particular person into a great speaker and as well as an evaluator itself. As a quote stated, that you are your all cells dies and reburns in 6 years. Same goes to your journey as a person, as a leader. You can choose to go in the positive front or in the negative front. If you choose to help, that help will make you grow more and be a little more grateful for things. And if you don't choose to help, that will make you kind, that will make you hurtful, and the choice is yours which you want to take. You want to be grateful for all, or you want to be hurtful, like why he's doing that. So, or be always, I will say, always be grateful for all. And that's being said, back to our Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you for unmuting me. Thank you, Kana, for the thought of the day. And now let's conclude the talk about our theme. We all live in a fast-paced world. Our mind tells us, run, do what you need to do. Don't stop. And our heart says, pause, look around, support the people who are running with you, who are behind you. Give a small gesture of kindness, a thank you note, a small appreciation, an emoji of love. It makes a difference in our life as people, as leader, as a human being. Thank you. Now let's see if our PR master ready to introduce the awards. We have a culture of rewarding best effort speaker, and best effort speaker goes to our educational speaker, Nelly Jane Galido. Let's all give her a big applause. Congratulations, Nelly. And our next award is for Best Effort Evaluator, and it goes to our evaluator, Nicole Whyte, our Vice President Education, who evaluated myself, the Toastmaster of the day. Nicole, well deserved. Congratulations. Let's all give Nicole a big heart. And now this will bring me to the end of our meeting. And I'd like to, well, should we, can I call the president, or let's adjourn this meeting? I will adjourn the meeting and give it back to the president now. Toastmaster Holmes.
Thank you so much, Gilda. This is the moment where we speak to the most important people in each of our meeting, the guest. I'll call upon a few guests if you are available. I would really appreciate if you both switch on your camera as well as your microphone so we can see you and hear you at the same time. Let's start off with Inavara Sylvia. Inavara Sylvia, are you available? I'll move on quickly. Tariq Sumro. Tariq Sumro, are you available?
I'm on mute. I'm here, Master President. I have to quickly run out from the house. Yes.
Then let me spotlight you. Hello. Thank you for joining our meeting today.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. How do you find a meeting?
Okay.
Share some comments, please.
The meeting was informative, and I loved everyone, their speeches, and all the posts of the day. But I must highlight the speech of Buhari. It was quite an opener and a reminder for me to always remember those who have given back to me, and also it's my duty to give back to the community, especially when I remember how far I have come. Whether it was my parents who helped me to, I don't know, how can I say, grow up, or they helped me to raise me up. Because of that, I can also help my younger sisters, my cousins, kids in the community, just to direct them at the right place. At the right place. Otherwise, I find the meeting quite interesting. So thank you so much for your question.
Thank you so much. Inavara, did I pronounce your name correctly?
Yes, is how you pronounce my name.
That's great. Inavara, I'm very happy to hear your comments that one of our speeches, in this case, Buhari, has made an impact on you. This is something that we want all our speakers to be able to do, which is have a core message and impact the audience. And today, your feedback is a great affirmation for Buhari. Thank you so much for being here and sharing this comment, Inavara. Let me see if some other guests might be available to share some comments. Esther Okoff. Esther Okoff, are you available? John Bruno, are you available? Julius Musembi, are you available? Marvin Luima, are you available?
Yes, I am available. I am available.
This is Marvin. Hi, Marvin. Where are you from?
I'm from Uganda, Kampala. I'm sure
Nice.
you've had a few members from there before. They might not be current members of your club, but I think you have had a few before.
We do. Share with us, how do you find a meeting today?
I guess we keep coming back because there's always something to learn. I think for me, the anchor message was raindrops tend to make an ocean, and that was reiterated throughout the meeting. I think I also with experience, you start looking at how people evaluate in meetings. And I think I found Rosy's evaluation quite robust. There's a lot to learn. And I saw how you work with the meeting experience, Zoom master, PR master. Lots of lessons to learn and pick from your end. So thank you for having me here today.
It's our pleasure to have you, Marvin. Thank you so much. Julius, I see you are unmuted. Would you like to share some of your comments, Julius?
Yes, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, but I cannot see you. Is it convenient to switch on your camera?
Okay. Oh.
Yes.
You are able to see me now?
Yes, I am.
So, hi everyone. Julius. I plugged in late. I confused the time. Sorry for myself. I feel so bad. I missed quite a lot. I plugged in the last 20 minutes or so. Very unfortunate, but I can say I always really look forward to join such platforms. I'm from Kenya, based in Mombasa, and for me, I love learning. And next time, I'll be really on top of the time, and I will not plug in and that such late and miss such a wonderful learning platform. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Julius, for affirming our club and our meetings. We look forward to having you visit us as and when you are available.
Definitely. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Brothers and guests, with that, I do like to adjourn the meeting, but before that, I do like to say we do have a post-meeting discussion which our TMOD Gilda will be leading. If you have time, and especially if you have some other reflections or sharings to share with the people here, I highly encourage you, please stay back and have a discussion with us. With that, I officially adjourn today's chapter meeting.